David lived in a world that many could only dream of. He had a grand house on the hill, a collection of luxury cars, and a life filled with wealth and comfort. But more than anything, he had Anna, his wife. She was kind, gentle, and beautiful in a way that seemed effortless. People often said they were the perfect couple, the kind of love story that seemed untouchable. Anna had always believed in love. She had dreamed of a life where happiness and trust walked hand in hand. At first, life with David had been like that. He was attentive, caring, and always made her feel special. He would surprise her with little gifts, take her on trips, and listen when she spoke about her dreams. For a while, it felt like nothing could ever go wrong. But slowly, things began to change. David seemed distracted, distant, and often disappeared for hours without explanation. He spent long nights on calls that he would dismiss as work. Anna tried not to worry, telling herself that maybe he was under pressure. Yet, a small knot of unease grew inside her. She couldn't ignore the feeling that something was shifting between them. One evening, Anna stayed late in the living room, pretending to read a book, but really listening. From the open door of David's study, she heard her name Anna followed by another name she hadn't expected, Lily. Her heart skipped a beat. Lily was Anna's younger sister, someone she had trusted and loved since childhood. Anna froze, her ears straining. "I don't know how long I can wait," David's voice said. "She doesn't understand. But Lily, she's different. She makes me feel alive." The words hit Anna like a cold wave. She felt the floor shift beneath her. The man she had loved with all her heart, the man she had shared dreams and promises with, was speaking of her sister as if she were a replacement. Her mind spun with disbelief, pain, and anger. She wanted to run, to scream, but she stayed hidden, listening to the betrayal. When the conversation ended, David left the room, and Anna's tears came quietly, silently, but with a force that shook her soul. She didn't know what to do next. She loved her sister, but she also loved David. And now, the world she thought was perfect seemed to crumble. The next morning, Anna confronted David. She chose her words carefully, keeping her voice steady. "David, I heard what you said. Is it true?" David looked at her, avoiding her eyes at first. Then he spoke in a way that broke something deep inside her. "Anna, I don't love you the same way anymore. I care about Lily now. I think we need to separate." Anna felt as if the air had been pulled from her lungs. "Separate? But, why? How can you just?" Her voice trailed off, unable to finish the sentence. She wanted answers, but she didn't think she would like them. David sighed, as if explaining something simple, like the weather. "I can't explain it fully. But my heart has changed. I need to follow my feelings." Anna's world fell silent. Everything she had believed in, every memory, every laugh, every dream she had shared with David, seemed meaningless now. She wanted to cry, to scream, to run away, but she also wanted to hold herself together. She had always believed that life had challenges, but she never imagined betrayal could hurt this much. She left their home that day, carrying a small suitcase with only the essentials. Every corner of the house reminded her of David, of a life that now belonged to the past. Friends and family tried to comfort her, but their words felt empty. Nothing could reach the deep ache in her heart. On her own, in a small rented apartment far from the mansion, Anna began to rebuild herself. She cooked simple meals, went for walks, and took small steps toward healing. Every day was a reminder of what she had lost, yet it also became a space where she could start again. At night, when the world was quiet, Anna would stare at the ceiling, her mind filled with memories. The betrayal stung, but it also awakened something new inside her, a quiet determination. She didn't know how or when, but she promised herself she would rise again. One day, she would show that she was stronger than any heartbreak, stronger than betrayal, and stronger than anyone who doubted her worth. For now, she let herself cry, let herself hurt, and let herself feel the weight of what had happened. But deep in her heart, a spark remained, a spark that would not be extinguished, no matter how cold the world became. Anna had spent the first few nights in her small apartment in silence. The city outside was busy, full of lights and sounds, but inside her home, time seemed frozen. Every corner reminded her of what she had lost. The laughter she once shared with David, the small promises, the quiet mornings, they all haunted her. Her friends called and tried to console her. "Anna, you are strong. You will get through this," they said. But Anna could only nod. She wanted to believe them, yet the pain of betrayal was too sharp to simply brush aside. It wasn't just the loss of love. It was the betrayal by the person she had trusted most, and by her own sister. Lily, whom she had once hugged, shared secrets with, and laughed with, had stepped into the place Anna once held in David's heart. Days passed slowly. Anna tried to focus on small tasks, cleaning the apartment, buying groceries, paying bills, but her mind often drifted to David and Lily. She replayed every memory, every conversation, searching for clues, wishing she could understand why her life had turned upside down. One afternoon, Anna's mother visited her. Seeing her daughter so fragile made her heart ache. "Anna, I know it hurts," she said softly, "but you cannot let this pain define you. You have your life ahead. Don't let anyone else control your happiness." Anna tried to smile, but tears welled up in her eyes. "It's not just losing David, Mother. It's Lily. I trusted her. I thought she loved me. How could they do this?" Her voice trembled, filled with a mix of grief and confusion. Her mother placed a hand on her shoulder. "People make mistakes. Sometimes, they follow the wrong path. But you must choose a better path for yourself. You are stronger than you think, Anna." Those words lingered in Anna's mind. She began to understand that while she couldn't change the past, she could control her future. She didn't want to be defined by betrayal or heartbreak. She wanted to rebuild her life on her own terms. Anna started looking for work. She didn't care about luxury or money at first. She just wanted to feel productive, to feel alive again. She found a job at a small boutique. The work was simple: organizing clothes, helping customers, and learning the business. At first, it was hard. The hours were long, and the pay was small. But it gave her a sense of purpose. At the boutique, Anna met kind people. They treated her with respect, valued her ideas, and encouraged her to try new things. Slowly, her confidence began to return. She realized she could live without David. She could smile without Lily by her side. She could be happy, even if it was a happiness she had to build from scratch. One evening, as Anna walked home from work, she saw a mother playing with her children in the park. Their laughter filled the air, bright and free. Anna stopped and watched them. She realized that even in a world filled with pain, there was still joy. There were new memories to make, new happiness to find. She didn't need anyone to give it to her, it was something she could create herself. Despite the small steps she was taking, Anna couldn't completely escape her past. Sometimes, she would see David's expensive cars on the street or hear his name mentioned in the news. Each time, a small pang of sadness hit her. But she reminded herself, she was no longer the same woman who had cried and begged for love. She was stronger now. Anna also avoided Lily. She knew she couldn't face her sister yet. The betrayal was too fresh, the hurt too deep. But in the quiet moments, she made a decision: she would not seek revenge. She would rise above the pain. One day, she would show that life could be better without the people who tried to hurt her. Months passed, and Anna's boutique began to grow. She learned about business, marketing, and customer care. She started thinking about her future, dreaming again, but this time on her own terms. She didn't need validation from David or approval from Lily. She had herself, and that was enough. And in the nights when she lay awake, Anna no longer cried for what she had lost. Instead, she thought of what she could become. She imagined a life filled with freedom, respect, and happiness, a life built by her own hands. The betrayal had left a mark, but it had also awakened something inside her, a determination to live fully, to rise above heartbreak, and to never again let someone else control her destiny. Anna didn't know how far she would go, or what surprises life had in store. But she knew one thing: she would not be broken. She would not be defeated. And one day, the world would see that Anna, the woman who had been betrayed, could shine brighter than anyone had ever imagined. Anna had started to find her rhythm in her new life. The small boutique where she worked was not luxurious, but it gave her a purpose she had never felt in the past few months. Every morning, she would wake early, brew a cup of coffee, and walk through the city streets with a quiet determination. The sunlight on her face reminded her that each day was a chance to start anew. At first, the work felt ordinary, almost too simple for someone who had once lived a life of wealth and comfort. But Anna discovered something important: there was satisfaction in building something with her own hands. She arranged displays, organized inventory, and greeted customers with a warm smile. With each small success, her confidence grew, like tiny seeds taking root in the soil of her heart. Her colleagues noticed the change in her. Sarah, a kind woman who managed the boutique, approached Anna one afternoon. "You have a good eye, Anna. You arrange the products beautifully. People notice it?" Anna smiled, feeling a small warmth spread through her chest. "Thank you, Sarah. I like working here. It makes me feel useful again." It was a feeling she hadn't known for a long time. For weeks, Anna had been consumed by sadness and anger. But now, with every organized shelf and every happy customer, she felt life returning. She realized that the world was bigger than the betrayal she had suffered, and that she still had the power to shape her own story. Outside the boutique, Anna started exploring the city. She walked through parks, sat by rivers, and visited small cafes. The world, once full of shadows and painful memories, began to look brighter. She met new people, strangers who treated her with respect and kindness. Slowly, her heart, which had been heavy with grief, started to lighten. Anna also began thinking about her dreams again. She remembered how she had always loved fashion, the way colors and fabrics could change a person's mood. At first, it was just a thought, a small spark of interest. But soon, she began to imagine her own boutique, a place where she could create and sell beautiful clothing. The idea gave her hope, and hope became a powerful motivation. She started saving every penny she could, determined to make her dream a reality. The journey was not easy. There were days when bills were high, sales were low, and doubts filled her mind. But Anna refused to give up. She reminded herself that she had survived betrayal, heartbreak, and loneliness. She could survive anything else life threw at her. Evenings were her favorite time. After the boutique closed, Anna would sit by her small balcony, looking at the city lights. She often thought of David and Lily, but not with anger anymore. She understood now that holding on to hatred would only hold her back. Instead, she focused on what she could control: her work, her dreams, and her own happiness. One evening, as she was closing the boutique, a young girl came running in. "Excuse me. Can you help me pick something for my mother's birthday?" Anna smiled and guided the girl, suggesting a few outfits and showing her how to wrap them beautifully. The girl's eyes sparkled with excitement. "Thank you so much. My mother will love it." Watching the girl leave, Anna felt a warm sense of accomplishment. Moments like these reminded her that life was full of small joys, even after great sorrow. She realized that happiness was not about wealth or status, it was about being present, helping others, and creating something meaningful. Months passed, and Anna's boutique began to attract more customers. People appreciated her taste, her attention to detail, and her kind personality. Slowly, she started to save enough money to consider opening her own small shop one day. The dream that had seemed so far away now felt closer than ever. Anna also learned to enjoy her own company. She no longer felt the constant ache of loneliness. She found comfort in her routine, in her work, and in the friends she was making. Her heart had been broken, but it was healing in the most unexpected ways through resilience, effort, and the simple joys of daily life. One night, as Anna sat on her balcony, looking at the stars, she whispered to herself, "I am not the woman I was before. I am stronger, wiser, and ready for the future. Nothing can stop me now." For the first time since the betrayal, Anna felt a sense of peace. She had rebuilt her life from the ground up, not relying on anyone, not waiting for anyone. She had learned that true strength came from within, and that no one could take that away from her. And deep inside, she knew this was only the beginning. Life had more to offer, more dreams to chase, and more joy to discover. Anna was ready to face it all, one day at a time, with courage, hope, and a heart full of determination. Years passed, and Anna's life had changed in ways she could hardly have imagined. The small boutique where she had started working had grown into a thriving business. Her eye for fashion, combined with her determination and hard work, had earned her respect in the city. People now came to her store not only for clothes but also for advice and inspiration. Anna had become more confident. She walked with her head held high, her smile genuine, and her eyes bright with hope. She had learned to trust herself again, to believe that she could create a life worth living. The pain of betrayal was still there, deep inside, but it no longer controlled her. She had discovered that the greatest strength came from rising above the hurt, not from seeking revenge. Her boutique had a small team now, and Anna enjoyed teaching them. She guided them with patience, sharing the lessons she had learned through her own struggles. "Every piece you display tells a story," she would say. "Make it beautiful, and people will notice." The staff respected her, not just for her talent, but for the courage and resilience she carried quietly in her heart. Anna also had new friends, people who valued her for who she was, not for what she had once lost or had. They shared laughter, small adventures, and honest conversations. Slowly, her life became full again, not with luxury, but with moments that brought real happiness. Meanwhile, David continued his life with Lily. He had assumed that Anna was gone, forgotten, defeated. He never imagined that she could rise so high without him. He saw her occasionally in the news when her boutique won awards, or when her designs were featured in local magazines. At first, he felt a flicker of pride, followed quickly by a pang of regret. But he never imagined how far she had truly come. One evening, Anna was invited to a city event celebrating local businesswomen. She wore a simple but elegant dress, her hair neatly tied back, and a quiet confidence surrounding her. As she walked into the hall, people noticed her. Whispers followed, admiration and respect in their tones. Anna smiled politely, feeling proud of how far she had come. During the event, Anna spoke about her journey. "Life can be unpredictable," she said softly. "It can bring heartbreak, challenges, and pain. But we have a choice. We can let it defeat us, or we can use it to become stronger. Every challenge I faced taught me something valuable. Every setback helped me grow. And that is the true measure of success." Her words were met with applause. People looked at her not as a woman who had been hurt, but as someone who had overcome, someone who had transformed her pain into power. Anna felt a quiet pride. She had never imagined that she would feel so fulfilled, so independent, and so respected. Back at her boutique, she reflected on her journey. She had started with nothing but determination, and now she had a thriving business, loyal friends, and self-respect. She realized that the life she had built on her own was more meaningful than any luxury David could have offered her. Anna often thought about the future. She dreamed of expanding her boutique, of helping more women find their confidence, and of building a life that was full of joy and purpose. She no longer feared what could go wrong. She knew that no matter what challenges came her way, she had the strength to face them. And yet, deep inside, a quiet curiosity remained. She wondered how David and Lily were living. She did not feel anger anymore, only a calm acknowledgement that their choices had shaped their lives, just as hers had been shaped by hers. She realized that life was not about holding grudges, it was about moving forward, growing, and creating happiness from within. One afternoon, as Anna walked through her boutique, she paused to look at a reflection of herself in the glass. She saw a woman who had suffered, yes, but who had also risen, who had endured, and who had become stronger than ever. Her eyes sparkled with confidence, her posture radiated pride, and her heart carried a sense of peace. Anna knew that she had become the person she had always wanted to be, not because of wealth, fame, or status, but because she had chosen to keep going, to build her life, and to trust herself. She had turned heartbreak into triumph, betrayal into strength, and sorrow into purpose. And in that moment, she realized something powerful: life was no longer something that happened to her. Life was hers to shape, and she would shape it beautifully. Anna's life had grown calm and joyful. Her boutique was thriving, her friends were loyal and kind, and she had found happiness in her independence. She no longer thought about David and Lily every day, though memories still surfaced from time to time. She had learned to focus on her own life and her own dreams. Then one morning, a golden envelope arrived in the mail. It was thick and elegant, with her name written in flowing letters. Anna's hands trembled slightly as she opened it. Inside was an invitation to David and Lily's wedding. At first, she stared at it in disbelief. Her first instinct was to throw it away, to ignore it completely. But as she held it in her hands, a quiet thought entered her mind: she could go. Not to beg, not to plead, not to cry, but to show that she had risen above the past. She had built a life from nothing, and she could walk into their world with her head held high. Anna sat quietly, thinking through her decision. She knew this would be a moment of closure, a moment where she could finally demonstrate that betrayal and heartbreak could not define her. She did not want revenge, she only wanted to show strength, grace, and dignity. For days, Anna planned her arrival. She wanted it to reflect her success and confidence, not arrogance or anger. She rented a golden Ferrari for the occasion, a symbol not of wealth, but of the journey she had undertaken to reclaim her life. She dressed elegantly, selecting a gown that was simple yet striking, a reflection of the woman she had become. Anna also thought about her children. Over the years, she had dreamed of becoming a mother, and now she had 5 beautiful children, the quintuplets she had raised with love and care. Their laughter, energy, and innocence had become her pride and joy. She decided they would accompany her. Their presence would remind everyone that life's true value was in love, family, and strength, not in wealth or deceit. The day of the wedding arrived. Anna felt a mix of emotions: excitement, calm determination, and a quiet satisfaction. She looked at herself in the mirror and saw a woman transformed. She was no longer the broken woman who had left David's mansion with a small suitcase. She was a mother, a successful businesswoman, and a woman who had endured hardship with courage. As she arrived at the wedding venue, the golden Ferrari gleamed in the sunlight. People stopped to stare, their whispers echoing in the courtyard. Anna stepped out gracefully, her children following behind her, each holding her hand and smiling confidently. The sight was unforgettable. Inside the venue, David and Lily were preparing for the ceremony. They had assumed Anna would never appear. They had thought she was defeated, hidden away in a small city, far from their lives. But as the doors opened and the golden Ferrari rolled into the driveway, their expressions changed. Shock and disbelief replaced the calm smiles they had worn moments before. Anna walked toward the entrance, every step deliberate, every movement radiating confidence. She did not need to speak, the presence of herself and her children said everything. She had built a life of strength, independence, and love, a life they had thought they had destroyed. Guests whispered among themselves. Some recognized Anna, others were simply amazed by the scene. 5 children, radiant and energetic, surrounded her as she moved through the crowd. Anna's eyes did not waver from her path. She was not angry. She was proud. She was free. David watched her approach, his expression a mix of regret and disbelief. He realized, in that moment, that the woman he had left for his own selfish desires had become something greater than he could ever imagine. Lily, too, felt a pang of shame and surprise. She had never expected Anna to rise so high, to carry herself with such dignity, or to command the attention of everyone in the room. Anna reached the front of the hall, standing tall and composed. She did not need to announce herself with words. The golden Ferrari, her elegant gown, and her children were enough. The room was quiet, filled with the weight of awe and admiration. For Anna, this moment was not about humiliation or revenge. It was about closure, about stepping into a new chapter of her life with pride. She had faced betrayal, heartbreak, and pain, and she had emerged stronger, wiser, and more beautiful than ever. As the ceremony began, Anna remained at the back, watching quietly. She did not need to interact with David or Lily. Her presence alone was a statement. Life had tested her, but she had won. She had built happiness, love, and respect for herself and her children. And in that moment, as she glanced at the faces of her quintuplets laughing and holding her hands, Anna knew something undeniable: she was no longer defined by the past. She was the architect of her own future, and nothing, not even the betrayal of the people she had once trusted, could take that away. The wedding hall was filled with laughter, music, and excitement. Guests were chatting, photographers were taking pictures, and David and Lily were at the center of it all, smiling nervously as their special day began. Everything seemed perfect, at least on the surface. Then, a low, powerful sound of an engine roared through the courtyard. Heads turned. The music seemed to fade as all eyes focused on the driveway. A golden Ferrari glimmered in the sunlight, rolling smoothly toward the entrance. The car shone like a star, impossible to ignore. The doors opened, and Anna stepped out. She was stunning, elegant, confident, and composed. Every movement she made radiated strength. But she was not alone. Behind her, 5 children emerged, laughing and full of energy. They were her pride and joy, her quintuplets, each one a symbol of the life she had built after heartbreak. Gasps filled the air. Guests whispered, pointing in awe. Some recognized Anna from the news, others had heard of her success but never imagined she would appear at this wedding. Her presence commanded attention, and the room grew quiet in a way that no one had expected. David froze. His heart skipped a beat as he saw Anna. He had thought she would never come, that she was too small, too broken, or too defeated to confront him. Yet here she was, taller, stronger, and radiant in a way that left him speechless. His mind raced, filled with regret and disbelief. Lily's expression changed too. The confident, smug smile she had worn melted into shock. She had assumed that Anna would never rise above their betrayal. She had assumed that Anna would be forgotten, hidden away in some small city, defeated and weak. But now, Anna had arrived in a golden Ferrari with 5 children, a living reminder of everything they could not take from her. Anna walked slowly toward the entrance of the hall, her head held high. Every step was deliberate, every glance calm and controlled. She did not look at David or Lily. She did not need to. Her presence alone said everything she needed to express. She had survived, she had grown, and she had built a life stronger than they could ever imagine. Guests were captivated. They had never seen such a dramatic and elegant entrance. Cameras flashed, phones recorded, and whispers of admiration and disbelief spread through the crowd. Anna's children followed her proudly, holding her hands, laughing, and enjoying the attention with innocent joy. It was clear that they were loved and cared for, a testament to Anna's strength and resilience. David tried to approach her, but words failed him. He opened his mouth, but no sound came out. He wanted to apologize, to explain, to ask for forgiveness, but he realized it was too late. Anna did not need him. She had already created a life full of love, respect, and success. Lily looked away, ashamed and speechless. The realization hit her hard. Anna was no longer the sister she had thought she could outshine or manipulate. Anna had become a force of her own, independent and powerful, and there was nothing she could do to change that. Anna paused at the hall entrance. She took a deep breath, smiling softly at her children. In that moment, she felt a wave of peace wash over her. She was free from the past, free from betrayal, and free to enjoy the life she had created. Her heart was full, not with anger or revenge, but with pride and love. She didn't need to speak to anyone to make her presence felt. The golden Ferrari, the elegant dress, the confident posture, and the 5 radiant children were enough. Every eye in the room was on her, and the message was clear: Anna had risen, and she could never be broken again. David finally found his voice, but it was soft, uncertain. "Anna," he began, but Anna gently shook her head. She didn't need to answer. There was nothing to say. He had already seen the truth: she was no longer the woman he could control or underestimate. She was unstoppable, radiant, and completely independent. As the ceremony continued, Anna watched quietly from the back. She saw Lily fidget nervously, David glance at her with mixed emotions, and the guests still whispering in awe. Anna's heart was calm. She did not seek revenge. She did not need to. The life she had built was her victory. The love of her children, the respect of her peers, and her own confidence were all she needed. In that moment, Anna realized the most important truth of all: happiness could not be given by anyone else. It had to be earned, built, and cherished from within. She had endured betrayal, heartbreak, and pain, and she had transformed it into strength, dignity, and love. As the golden Ferrari sparkled in the sunlight, and her children laughed around her, Anna knew this was not the end. It was the beginning of a life filled with possibilities, a life she would continue to shape with courage, grace, and determination. The wedding continued inside the hall, but Anna remained calm at the back, watching quietly. She didn't need to interfere or confront anyone. Her presence alone had already spoken louder than words ever could. The golden Ferrari, her elegant dress, and her children's joyful laughter had made an impression that no one would forget. David kept glancing at her, torn between regret and awe. He had believed he could move on, that Anna would remain in the past, forgotten and defeated. But he saw the truth now. She had not only survived heartbreak, she had grown stronger, wiser, and more radiant than ever. He had assumed his choices would bring him happiness, but he realized, too late, that she had built something far greater than he could ever take away: her life, her confidence, and her family. Lily, too, stood in quiet shock. She had thought her actions would give her power, but seeing Anna there, full of dignity and strength, reminded her of the consequences of betrayal. She realized that Anna was untouchable now, not through anger or revenge, but through her courage and resilience. Anna smiled softly as she looked at her quintuplets. Each of them held her hand, their innocent eyes sparkling, and their laughter filled her heart with joy. They were her strength, her pride, and the living proof of her journey. She had endured pain, rebuilt her life, and now she held the life she had always dreamed of, right in front of her. She had learned a powerful truth: happiness could not be given or taken by anyone. It had to be earned, cherished, and nurtured from within. Anna had done that. She had taken her heartbreak and turned it into determination, her sorrow into growth, and her betrayal into a life of purpose and joy. As the ceremony went on, Anna noticed the subtle glances from the guests. They were not just looking at a beautiful woman, they were witnessing someone who had overcome enormous challenges. They admired her grace, her strength, and the way she carried herself with dignity. Anna realized that her story had become an inspiration, not just for her, but for everyone watching. David finally approached her after the ceremony, his steps hesitant. "Anna." He stopped, unsure of what to say. Words were not enough to capture the weight of what had happened between them. Anna shook her head gently, a kind but firm smile on her lips. "There is nothing to say, David. I am happy. That is enough." Her voice was calm, confident, and unshakable. She did not need his apology or his explanation. She had already moved forward. David looked at her for a long moment, and then he nodded silently, understanding that he had lost something far more precious than he had ever realized. Anna's strength, her dignity, and her new life could not be taken from her. Lily watched in silence, her face pale. She had expected confrontation, anger, or revenge, but instead, Anna offered only peace. It was a silent lesson: strength and happiness came not from hurting others, but from rising above the pain they caused. Anna turned back to her children and smiled. She bent down and hugged each of them tightly. Their warmth reminded her that the best things in life were not wealth, power, or status, they were love, family, and the courage to keep moving forward. As the guests began to leave, many came to congratulate Anna. They praised her elegance, her confidence, and the joy she carried with her children. She accepted their words graciously, feeling a quiet satisfaction. She had become someone who inspired others, someone who proved that heartbreak could lead to growth and triumph. Outside, the golden Ferrari gleamed in the late afternoon sunlight. Anna looked at it and smiled, knowing that it was not just a car, it was a symbol of her journey. From despair and betrayal to strength and success, she had created a life that no one could take away. She climbed into the car with her quintuplets, their laughter filling the air. Anna felt a sense of peace she had never known before. The past was behind her, and the future stretched wide and bright ahead. She had endured, learned, and grown. She had risen from heartbreak to triumph. Driving away from the wedding, Anna knew this was only the beginning of an even more beautiful life. She had faced betrayal, heartbreak, and doubt, and had come out victorious. She had built a life full of love, happiness, and respect. And most importantly, she had discovered the greatest truth: no one could ever take her strength, her dignity, or the joy she had created for herself and her children. As the city lights reflected on the golden car, Anna's heart was light, her spirit free, and her future filled with endless possibilities. She had turned pain into power, sorrow into strength, and betrayal into triumph. Anna had won not by seeking revenge, but by becoming unstoppable, radiant, and fully in control of her life. The road ahead was hers, and she was ready for every moment, every challenge, and every joy that life had to offer.